Maya attacks us in two forms: attraction and fear. So, Maya comes in the form of an unfavorable situation or some behavior which scares you sometimes. Yes, and Maya comes in a way that we get influenced and we start creating thoughts of fear. And when we are in that frequency, creating thoughts of fear, then our Buddhi Yoga is with what's going to happen, then this shouldn't happen and that shouldn't happen. And it's with the situation or with the person. And the only job of Maya is to take us away from Baba. So that Maya becomes successful in by creating thoughts of fear. So, or by presenting itself, and then we create thoughts of fear if we are not powerful enough. So, in a scenario where there are these pulls of the old world, where there is a scene, a behavior that is triggering fear, then what do? You take Baba's, company and you feel powerful. So Baba says that I'm with you, and where I am, there is support, there is sustenance, there is protection. So experience that support, sustenance, protection, experience Baba's company, and overcome the thought of fear. So that is something that Baba says, because you see, thoughts of fear have, they are like, they pull you into a very miserable state. So once those thoughts start, then A is there are too many, so they keep going on in your mind, and you cannot take your mind to Baba. That is one thing. But second thing is also that, when the thoughts of fear starts, and fears are very irrational, so then you start thinking about many irrational possibilities and they are endless. So there's a lot of thinking that gets triggered by fear. And then because thoughts become feelings and ultimately destiny, so that's also a very dangerous area to tread in, because whatever you're thinking, you're actually manifesting. So Maya has this weapon of fear, and Baba, in most of the Murlis, if you see, Baba says this one word, you never be afraid, tum ghabrao mat. And this is when we remember Baba, when we remember Baba's teachings, then we know that I'm a soul, and basically nobody can take away from me whatever is mine and whatever is predestined. And sometimes people calculate that, if this thing hadn't happened or that person had not intervened, then things would be different and I would be in a different place, or my destiny would be different. But if you look at Baba's Murlis, Baba says that creating thoughts like, if this hadn't happened or this had happened, then it would be different. These are all thoughts of ignorance, because the drama is pretty fixed and whatever had to happen has happened, and it happens like this every cycle. So you cannot get more than your destiny. So put a full stop about these situations. And we are not living in an ideal world right now. So we are living in Kali Yuga, where every soul has a big baggage of 63 births of karmic settlement. Yes, so you are not one without karmic settlement. It's not like if you become a Brahmin, then you don't have a baggage of karma to be settled. It's there with you, and whatever you are encountering in the way of difficult situations or behaviors is actually your karmic baggage manifesting itself. So, but you know what happens is, practically when we see, then we see that some person is becoming an instrument for it, or some situation is becoming an instrument for it, and then we also try to see who is behind that situation. So, we try to figure out that this is a difficult situation, but of course, this situation is not natural. Somebody has connived to create it, and because they are doing this, that is why this situation is there. And you start using this weapon of blame. And what happens is, this weapon of blame is self destructive, because where you blame, you cannot accept. And where there is no acceptance, then you get disconnected from Baba, because you cannot put a full stop here, so you cannot connect to Baba. So it's very important to understand that whenever there is a situation, don't blame anybody for it. Understand that it's a manifestation of the karmic burden, and of course, I'm even not to blame for the karmic burden, because it's there in the drama. And just like that karma was there in the drama, this scene is also there in the drama. And I am with Baba, and Baba is very powerful. So every situation is less powerful than my Baba. So hold this in your awareness and cross the situation. So never get afraid, and when you get afraid, you lose out on your Sangam Yugi time, where you have to remember Baba and raise your frequency. So instead of raising your frequency in Sangam Yuga, you get caught up in the scene and behavior, and you lose out on that opportunity in Sangam Yuga, where you can heal yourself, recharge yourself with Baba's powers. So this is about fear. But today Baba is also talking about attraction. And you see that attraction gives you hope. And you see, something looks so promising and so attractive in this old world that it generates hope in you. But you see that in this world there is no hope. There is hope in the new world, and there is no hope in the old world, because you see, even when things and situations are going your way, you must understand that everything is very powerless, and you cannot really trust something that is not in its power. Yes, so you cannot go into the expectation that some situation or some person or something is going to serve you or is going to give you what you need. So, but things, and there are so many things that present themselves like that, and they look really attractive. Sometimes, people will say that I had no faith in true love, but then this person came across, and I felt that I'm a very fortunate person, and maybe this is the only person who can give me all that I need. So this is all Maya, because even if that person gives you all you need, still, what are they making you? Are they making you powerful or powerless? Yes, so if somebody is giving you everything you need, then you forget how to take care of yourself. And you become very, very dependent. And what is your goal in Sangam Yoga? Your goal in Sangam Yoga is to be full of virtues, full of powers, and be a self-sovereign, be a master of your own body and life and sense organs. But instead of that, what you fall into the trap that because we carry these ideas that if somebody is taking your burden, it's a very fortunate thing. But if somebody is taking your burden, you are forgetting to take your own burden. You cannot carry your own burden, and that's not a very sweet place to be in, because that somebody is not permanent. Yes, and even if they last you this whole lifetime, they are not going to be there in the next birth for you. And how do they leave you? They leave you very, very dependent and powerless. So Baba says that whatever looks very attractive, because you see, we from the copper age, we start creating sanskars based on vices. And Baba today also told us another very good secret, that when the soul becomes impure, the buddhi becomes corrupted. Yes, so you cannot distinguish good from bad, true from untrue. And when we become impure, when we souls become impure, which is also there in the drama, that when we take birth and rebirth, we naturally lose our energy and we become impure, and it's there fixed in the drama. But when we become impure, what happens is we lose our good intellect, and our intellect starts discerning erroneously, and we get caught up in these errors of judgment where whatever is actually bad for us looks good to us. So our intellect is against us, and we start thinking that this is good for me, just like the example I gave, that your intellect thinks that if you get somebody who you can pile on and who you can just exploit, and who you don't have to give back, and who takes care of you, that's a very good proposition and that should happen. And your intellect says that, but it's actually not good. Yes, or your intellect would say that a good life is where you just sleep and eat and do nothing, and you don't have any responsibilities, you don't have any burden to carry. But is that a good idea? Because when you don't have any responsibilities, then you don't use your brain, you don't use your capacities, and then what do you become? You become like a rusted iron. And I remember there's this brother, he's into a company and he's in a managerial position, and it is very interesting. He sat down and he started talking to me, and he was telling me, Didi, in our company they hire people who we are engineering graduates, and we clear lots of exams and we get hired into the management level. But there are people who have a diploma or they have done some course, and they get hired at the junior level, very junior level, and they earn half of our salary, but it's great that they have no responsibility. They don't have to sign anywhere. They are never, they are never caught by the collar when something goes wrong, and it's a great place to be in. So I said, what is the thought that you're creating? Are you trying to say that you want to be at half the salary without any responsibility? So I said, yes, because you see, there is a lot of work there but no responsibility, and that's a very good place to be in, because if you have no responsibilities, you don't have any stress. So then I told him, you don't have stress because you have responsibility. You have stress because you're body conscious. And you must understand that if you have less responsibility, then how would you work? And what is the sanskar that you will develop? You will develop a sanskar of irresponsibility. You will develop a sanskar of being not responsible. which is a very bad idea. Because here you are studying to be a king in Satyug, a king who has to be responsible, a king who has to have, very good discernment and judgment. And here you're talking about being in a position where you don't have to make any decisions, or you don't have to handle responsibility or pressure. And who tells you that's a good idea? So he said, I really envy those people, and I keep thinking, that half a salary is good, but no responsibility is good. So you see that Ravan makes us think like this. And Ravan will make you think that, being without responsibility is a very good idea. And sometimes, you don't even want to take the responsibility of responding properly to somebody. So these days, people are even shying away from communicating to the face. Yes, there is this tendency to just avoid interaction, and even if the interaction is there, let it be superficial, let it not be deep, because you don't want to respond properly. You don't want to take that responsibility also. So people are running away from relationships because they feel that relationships and responsibility go hand in hand. But Baba says that if you run away from relationships, if you don't deal with the sanskars of souls, then how will you create the virtue where, how will you live in Satyug? Where, you will be able to rule over. Because you see, although the sanskars would be pure, but would they be the same? They would be different. Yes, every soul would be different, and every soul's sanskar would be different. But what would be the quality of the king? The quality of the king in Satyug would be such that every soul, despite their sanskars, they feel that paternal love for the king. Yes, so they feel that closeness to the king, that relationship with the king, and they love the king and queen with the heart. So Baba says that if you are not able to make every soul, despite their sanskar, comfortable around you, then how will you rule in Satyug? But we always feel that, things that Ravan says are good for us are good for us. Yes, so we get very attracted to these propositions. And then sometimes people will say that I would like a lot of money and no struggle, and there should be no unfavorable situations, and there should be no obstacles in my way. But then if there are no obstacles, you're not exercising your spiritual muscles. And when you don't exercise your spiritual muscles, you don't have to apply qualities, gunas or powers anywhere. Then when you don't use them, you lose them. So, but when there is a situation, you have to use your knowledgeful self, your power to tolerate, your power to discern, power to decide. And let me ask you one simple question. Do you like to be in a situation where you have to take a lot of decisions and discern a lot of things? Yeah, because you see, sometimes we run away from that. We would say, it's too much to handle, it's very complicated, I don't understand most of the things, and I really cannot gauge what is right, what is wrong. So I don't want to discern, I don't want to decide. These decisions have to be taken, and I don't know which way they would go and how they would unfold. So you just run away from the decision making and the discernment. But Baba says that if you don't discern and decide, then how would you how would you hone your powers of decision and discernment and decision making. You see, there was this Mata, and she was into a government service, but she was posted in the same place as her husband. And what happened is, for 25 good years of her service, her husband would take her from home, take her to office, bring her back. He would be in the same building. So if she had any trouble, she would just talk to her husband and get it done. So she was doing a job, but pretty much not learning anything. Okay, and it was a very comfortable job, and she really liked her job. It paid well. It was a government job. And then what happened is, she got transferred to a different city. And then she told me, I would leave the job, Didi, I would apply for voluntary retirement, and I would say I would leave the job because I cannot do my job on my own. I have not worked like this. So I told her, you go there. And she said, I don't know, I don't even know which train to take. I don't even know how to get settled there. I don't know anything. There'll be so many decisions to take. What to buy, how to be, how to behave. How will I do all that? How to adjust in the new office, how to make friends. So I said, you do all of that, and this is Baba giving you an opportunity to become very, to hone or, practice your power to discern and decide, because there you will have to take decisions. So she did that. In the beginning, it was very difficult. For 6 months, she kept calling me and telling me, Didi, this is a bad decision, and I'm suffering like anything, and I'm feeling really bad. I'm feeling lonely. I said, Baba is with you. She said, no, Baba is there with me, but I'm still feeling lonely. And this went on. And then after she stayed in that place for 3 years. And when she came back, she was a totally different person. She was a person who was fearless, who knew that she could face situations, who trusted her capacity to discern and decide. So there was a lot of self-confidence about this capacity that I can also gauge good from bad, right from wrong. I don't have to always keep asking another person first, and I can also take decisions which pan out to be very good and fruitful. So she got all this experience when she stayed there for 3 years. And when she came back, I asked her, so how was your experience? And she said, in the beginning, it looked like, this is the worst thing that Baba is doing to me. And I've been in Gyan for 10 years. And why is Baba doing this to me? But then later I realized why Baba is doing this to me. And now I understand that my rusted intellect did not understand that being powerful is more important than being comfortable. And I always chose comfort over power, but Baba is training me that being in your state of spiritual power is very important, and being comfortable is taking you away from that. So Baba tells us that, we always get attracted to things and situations and behaviors that are not good for us. You hate a person who is not on the same page with you, and you love a person who is on the same page with you. But if you are not if you're not there with people who are not on the same page with you, how will you have confidence on your opinion? Yes, so only when you have people who are challenging your beliefs. And this is why, I chose to go to office for many years. Because when we live in the center, we pretty much meet people who are aligned with our philosophy. But when you go to office, you meet a different set of people. And then those people, they are not on the same page they don't agree with purity. They will, throw so many tantrums about it, or they will not agree with you, your food style or lifestyle, and you really need to practice self belief and yoga power to be there in your power all day, and also have an influence on other people, a positive influence which encourages them and inspires them to follow your path. And this was a very good situation that I chose for myself, and because it was like that, I developed a lot of confidence in the practice I was doing. Because, and this is why today I have no second thoughts, because it has always worked for me. So Baba says that you mustn't get attracted, because you get attracted, your sanskars are impure. And with those sanskars, when you get attracted, you are getting attracted to something that is pulling you down. And you like that, you love that, that's where you get attracted. You get attracted to everything that's impure and pulls you down. And Baba says it's very important to be free from attraction and influence, and an influence that's attractive. Yes, sometimes you see a project, you see there was this one sister, she was telling me that I've seen a project somewhere close to Delhi, and that's a very beautiful project, a construction project coming up, and ever since I've seen it, I only think and dream of going there. And she said that, I think that, Baba should make me an instrument and I should have a flat there and I should do seva there. So Maya gives you these thoughts also. So I said, you are living in a flat right now? So she said, yes. So I said, how long have you been living there? She said, for the last 22 years. And I said, okay. And how long have you been in Gyan? So she said, 5 years. I said, did you do seva there? You did not do any seva there. No, your drawing room, your living room, it never gets used for seva. But now suddenly Maya has given you a thought that if you are in that flat, in that building, you will use that flat for seva. So all this is Maya, and don't get attracted. So she said, but Didi, it's a good thing now if we go to a good building and I have the intention to serve. So I said, ever since you started having these thoughts, did you remember Baba? So she said, I remember Baba all day. So I said, you remember Baba as a beggar, not as a child. Ever since, see, you were connecting with Baba as a child, and now suddenly Maya has shifted you to a beggar, and you don't even realize that because your eyes have got sucked into that project, and those eyes can't see Baba anymore. So that's the influence that we have. And then she said, so I shouldn't think about having that project. I said, you don't get something by thinking about it. You get something when you are pure. Purity attracts everything. And you become pure when you leave everything. So when you don't think about anything, just think about Baba, then you become pure and then you attract everything. But it's such a catch-22 that, if you if you think about getting and your purpose is that, then there is no purity in the first place and you don't become pure. So Baba says that you must pay your attention to remembering me, and when you remember me a lot, so Baba says, where there is remembrance of Father and where there is His company, then you stay safe from these attractions and pulls. And in the Murli today, Baba is underlining his Sakash. So you see that when we remember Baba, we receive powers, we receive virtues, we receive love, but we also receive Sakash. And in the English Murli, Sakash is translated as a current of power. And I like to think about Sakash as extra help. Yes, so Sakash is like a blessing. Sakash is like an extra help. Sakash is like that extra thing that you get from Baba. And Baba says that when you remember me, I give you Sakash. And that Sakash helps you disengage from your body. So, body consciousness, which is so difficult to beat. So, it's so difficult to feel separate from your body, feel bodiless. But Baba says, I give you that extra help which helps you, stay in bodilessness, which disentangles you from your body. And this is a very great help that we receive. And when we remember Baba, Baba gives love, Baba gives powers, Baba gives virtues, Baba gives the experience of all relationships, Baba gives us knowledge, Baba gives us just the power to discern, decide, Baba gives guidance. All of that is there. But Baba also gives Sakash. And this Sakash helps us be bodiless. And this is something that you cannot get from anybody. You see, when you meet souls also, you can take some guna or some power from a soul also. But no soul can give you the strength to overcome your body consciousness and be bodiless. And this is a special gift that Baba gives us. But Baba can only give us this gift when we remember Baba. So Baba says, remember me and I will help you become bodiless. And when you're bodiless, you're free from the attractions and pulls of the old world. And then you will not be caught and trapped by Maya. And you will be able to make your Sangam Yugi journey very easily. So Baba says that Maya in the form of fear and attraction is cheating you a lot. And if you want to be free from both, then you have to receive Baba's help in the form of Sakash in order to be bodiless and free from body consciousness, and then you will be free from Maya. Okay, Om Shanti.